Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm continuing doing my movie Gauntlet, this time movie Gauntlet number 9. Going to continue to do some more mini reviews of movies I saw for the first time in this year, 2022. So stay tuned to see what movies I'm checking out this time on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Thursday, kind of early evening period. And this is another movie Gauntlet. I'm trying to get through all these movies, so then I'm done with the movie Gauntlet part and can just talk about movies that I've seen more recently. So hopefully you're not getting too tired of hearing a lot of these movies that I've seen in the last year. Some of them not so new, but hopefully you enjoy some more of my opinions. So let's get to it. First movie I'm talking about is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, which is the second movie in the Fantastic Beasts trilogy. And I saw of course, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I was very intrigued when the first Fantastic Beasts came out. And I was all for seeing more movies set in the Harry Potter universe and all that. I was pretty disappointed with the first Fantastic Beasts. I thought it was really underwhelming and not that interesting. So I don't know why. I checked the second one out. I didn't really have any feelings of really wanting to watch it. But I think it was on HBO Max. It was on streaming, and sometimes I'm like, what the heck? If it's on streaming, it's easy. I can just watch it at any time. I don't know. For some reason, I thought, well, I'll check this one out, see if it got any better than the first one. Because like I said, I want these to be good because I like Harry Potter. So I think my wanting to be good outweighed my feelings of doom that's going to be terrible. And yeah, it was a terrible, terrible film. One of the worst I've seen. I thought it was even way worse than the first one. Well, the first one I thought wasn't good. It wasn't nearly as bad as this one. It's somewhat watchable. This one's not watchable. I don't understand what's going on at all in the movie. The plot makes no sense to me. I don't know who's who, what characters is what. Characters come in and out, and I'm like, I don't know who that character is. I never understood what the bad guy Grindelwald's motivation was, really, or the ending was, terrible because they're setting up a third movie, and I was like, I didn't like the choices people were making, and I was just so confused and so lost, so bored. Horrible movie, Fantastic Beasts. There's a third one that's on HBO Max. Have not watched it. Do not want to watch it. I'm just like, why torture myself again? But yeah, that's Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Again, I put it like 1 out of 5 stars. Next movie is Eternals, which was an MCU movie that came out, I think, last year, 2021, I believe. I caught it on Disney Plus when it came out. Disney Plus. This was one I was really dreading to watch, but it's like I really don't want to watch Eternals, but because it's in the MCU, I kind of find myself wanting to watch, kind of see what's going on in the MCU, and it's on Disney Plus streaming, so I was like, I might as well check it out, see what's going on. Pleasantly surprised. I actually kind of enjoyed this movie. I did not think that was coming because it was directed by Chloe Zhao, who I've seen like 2 of her other movies, and they're absolutely horrible. I think she's like a horrible director. I mean, her movies are just so boring, so slow paced. And I thought, oh man, she's doing a superhero movie. She's going to make the worst superhero movie of all time. And I was wrong. Eternals actually wasn't too bad. I like the element of these different superpowered beings. They each have their own personalities. They each have their own superpowers that works. And when they work together as a team, it's actually pretty interesting. So it reminds me a lot of like the Avengers or X-Men. So I like that. I like when you have different people's different powers teaming together. I always like the element of it. And so that really worked for me. And the whole cast was, pretty good overall. The costume designs were pretty good. And the bad guys, I forget what they're called, but the villain monsters that they're fighting, were pretty well done. And the fight scenes were really good. I was really interested. I especially love Kumail Nanjiani. He was probably my favorite character because I like him because he's a comedian. And so he's very funny in the movie, but he buffed up, so he looks really good in the fight scenes. And he was really great. But yeah, fight scenes were actually really well done. And even like the very end, kind of, I will say I didn't understand what was going on throughout the movie. It's a very one of the most confusing storylines I've ever heard, which I couldn't tell you what exactly the whole storyline is. It deals with these Eternals and I forget the godlike creatures. I forget what they're called. And yeah, it's a very confusing. But yeah, it didn't detail me. Usually I don't like confusing movies, but this was one where I was confused, but yeah, I was entertained about what was going on. And it had some humor in it. I think they did a good job of putting in some humor into with the action and all that. So actually it wasn't like one of my favorites, but it surprisingly worked well enough for me. I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars, like a light recommend. Like not a must-see movie, but not a bad one to check out if you have Disney Plus. Next movie I'm going to talk about is Tick, Tick, Boom. No, it's not an action movie. It sounds like an action movie. It's actually kind of a biographical musical starring Andrew Garfield. Came out last year. It got an Oscar nomination for Andrew Garfield for Best Actor. The whole movie, it's about this guy, and I can't remember his name, but he wrote musicals, and he was a failure. He was writing these musicals that kind of bombed or never made it. And then he finally wrote a hit musical called Rent, which you probably heard of. It was a huge musical and a Broadway musical that won a bunch of Tonys, and they made a movie out of it eventually. And it's really well regarded as far as that's concerned. The real person that wrote the musical died like the day they opened up for the musical. So he never really got to live to see how popular his musical was. And so that's a weird thing. We don't see that in the movie. That's just what happens in real life. And that's why they made the movie, I think, because it was interesting. I think they thought that was an interesting character, that whole thing. But ultimately, I just didn't care at all about the main guy. Andrew Garfield's he's one of my favorite actors out there. So I liked him as the performance goes. It wasn't my favorite performance from him, but I still like seeing him in the movie. And it's partly like a musical, like I said, part bio. Sometimes they break out into song and supernatural stuff happens. Like they're I remember they're at a cafe, and all of a sudden they start singing, and the cafe walls go away, and they're just, I don't know. So it's only it's like a meta musical, I guess, in a way. Most part, music, I didn't really care for that much. Like, I can't remember any songs from it. It wasn't like a memorable music, in my opinion. So, to me, it was just kind of a forgettable movie. Not terrible, but yeah, just I wasn't that interested in the main character or the fact that he wrote like one big musical. Like, who cares, But that was my feelings. Like, I have to kind of care a little bit more about the main character to really get into a biopic, and so that part just didn't work enough for me to really recommend it. Give it like a 2.5 out of 5 stars, like a light not recommend, like not the worst, but just not enough there for me to recommend. Next movie I'm talking about is Mr. Popper's Penguins, which, like, Mr. Popper's Penguins, where does that come from? It's kind of an obscure movie. Yeah, I caught this one time on Disney Plus, and I kind of remember when it came out, and it kind of was a bomb movie. It was one like Jim Carrey's like last movies, I feel like, before he kind of went off the deep end and kind of disappeared from movies for a while. And so I don't know, I was never interested in necessarily, but it was on Disney Plus, and I was like, this is it looks like a friendly enough movie. It's a silly movie. You don't have to think too hard. Sometimes I just want to watch a dumb movie, not think too much. So I don't know. And I thought it'd be a fairly quick movie. I can get through it pretty quickly in a night. Anyways, and I was surprised. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's another one where I was kind of thinking going in, this is going to be a terrible movie. Not a great movie, I won't say that, but yeah, it was much more enjoyable than I was figuring it to be. And it's all because of Jim Carrey. And I've been talking about Jim Carrey actually a little bit lately, because I've been talking about my favorite 90s movies. I did my 90s stream, and Jim Carrey was the biggest actor in the 90s, and I was a huge Jim Carrey fan back in the 90s. Looking back, I think his humor is a little immature for me. But this is one where it's more of a family film compared to like his PG-13 movies, more raunchy movies. This was much more of a family film, comedy. And so I kind of enjoyed it because of that, because there's nothing offensive in it. And I kind of like seeing that every once in a while, a movie that doesn't have offensive humor in it. And so it's not the greatest humor, but yeah, it still was kind of funny. And Jim Carrey was really good in it. Like I said, I was talking about Kick-Ass 2 the other day, and I said it was a terrible movie, but I like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was the best part of that movie. I was like, I could like to see more Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey does have this, for me anyways. A lot of people I know don't like Jim Carrey at all. Like, I kind of, don't like Jim Carrey sometimes, but I'm starting to find more and more that Jim Carrey can really elevate material to much better than what it should be. Like Mr. Popper's Penguin should not work for me at all, but because Jim Carrey still has some of that physical humor that I like, he actually was kind of enjoyable to watch on screen, dealing with these penguins. And the whole movie is he, through this accidental mishap, it's very silly plot that he gets these penguins and he tries to get rid of them, but he can't get rid of them for some reason. So he decides just to take care of them, kind of, if I remember right. And there's other things that go on in the movie. But, I mean, obviously, you don't like the penguins because they're more CGI sometimes, and that's a little too over the top at points. But it didn't hurt me too bad. I still was enjoying what Jim Carrey was doing with the penguins and all that. And so, yeah, so I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was, a light recommend. Not one you have to see, but it's not as bad as you would think anyway. So that's Mr. Popper's Penguins. Next movie is Don't Look Up. Movie that came out last year, was nominated for Best Picture. And I said I kind of hate all these Best Picture nominees. I think they're all pretty terrible. And this is no different. I really did not enjoy this at all. It's a take on a meteor coming towards Earth, and the scientist that finds it is trying to tell everybody, but then there's politics that get involved, and they act like, oh, there is no meteor coming, and they're like, no, there is. And so I thought maybe it's trying to do a satirical thing, but yeah, I didn't quite understand the satire necessarily. I think they didn't do good enough job with the satire, like Dr. Strangelove that was really good with satire. So I don't know, they kind of missed on that because I didn't quite know what their point was. They're trying to make a point, but I didn't quite get what that was, the filmmaker. I mean, afterwards, I think they said it was about climate change, which the movie's not about climate change, it's about a meteor. So I know, I think it was a misstep in trying to, push some liberal ideology, I think, on everybody. And overall, it's supposed to be a comedy, and it wasn't funny at all. I think that's what makes it the worst, is like, I was really bored. If I'm bored in a movie, it's probably going to get a 1 out of 5 stars. What you think? I mean, it's that simple. It's just like, you can't be boring. The movie can't be boring. You got to entertain me. If I'm watching it and I'm just like looking at my watch, I don't have a watch, but let's say I had a watch. Look at my watch, look at the clock. If I have to get up and do stuff to keep myself interested, while the movie's going, I mean, you're a bad movie. And this goes along with those. A lot of the movies I've been talking about lately is, I was just bored. Wasn't funny, really. I didn't laugh at all. I thought the characters were terrible. I thought they're very unlikable. The ending was horrible. Yeah. So it's a 1 out of 5 stars for me. Don't Look Up. Adam McKay, if I didn't say, was the director and writer of the movie. It has a great cast. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence. Amazing cast. Meryl Streep. I mean, Jonah Hill. Great cast, but didn't work for me. Next movie I want to talk about is The Harder They Fall, which I think was a Netflix movie. I know I saw it on Netflix. It was one that was getting some Oscar buzz, but I don't know if it really got any Oscar nominations. But it was on Netflix, so I was like, I'll watch it. It looks like it's getting some Oscar buzz. Checked it out. It's kind of a Western, but all the characters are black. And so usually you see Westerns, everybody's usually white, I guess. So it's kind of a take on Westerns, but everybody was black instead. So it had a really good cast of actors that I don't see as often. Of course, Idris Elba is like the main bad guy, which he's always really good in movies. But there's a lot of good actors here that I kind of enjoy. And so I was kind of interested in a Western with these actors. Overall, though, I just didn't enjoy the movie. And I'm trying to think why. I can't remember because I saw this a little bit a while ago. And I just remember just not really getting into the movie and just was bored with it, like a lot of these other movies. And I just wasn't paced enough, didn't really care about the story enough. I don't know. Didn't work for me. I don't know. I'd give it another probably 2 out of 5 stars. Maybe a little bit better than some of the other movies I talked about, but still not a strong not recommend. Okay, next movie we talk about is, I'm getting through quite a bit hopefully in this one. The Suicide Squad, which was kind of a reboot of Suicide Squad, which takes all these villainous characters and put them together like Avengers or X-Men and have them go set this mission set by the government, whatever. And the first one was horrible. Really hated that Suicide Squad movie with Will Smith. The only good spot, I think, was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, of course, was great. And she's kind of made that really her character. Margot Robbie has really made a lot out of that character. She does a great job. Love the character. They did Birds of Prey, and then now she's, this is the third time I think she's played Harley Quinn. She's one of the maybe only one or two people that maybe came back for the second movie out of the reboot. And she does a really great job in this movie again. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, way more than I expected. It's, what's his name? Gunn, his last name. He does the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's done two of them. He's working on a third one. James Gunn. And so he's great at these quirky kind of comedic action movies. He's done really well with. And this is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, except it's rated R, and it's very hard rated R. It's very, very violent. Almost too violent for me. Like, it's a little too disturbing at sometimes, but overall, I enjoyed the humor along with the action in it. Idris Elba is in it, and he's very good. And I really like John Cena, and John Cena has gone on to make a TV show on HBO Max called The Peacemaker. And so he's taken this character from this movie, and he's made a whole season on TV, which I also kind of enjoyed the TV show as well. So this has definitely been, I think, John Cena's best role, and he's actually really good. Of course, he's got the big muscles, so he looks good as this, bad guy superhero. But he also has some comedic chops that work really well with the character. And the whole group, though, it does very well anyways. Yeah, it's just a fun movie. If you like fun, violent movies, it's not a bad movie to watch. And again, it's one you don't have to think too much about. Just put it on, enjoy it, whatever. Yeah, so I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a strong recommend, pretty solid recommend for me. Okay, last movie I'll touch on is a movie called The Age of Adeline, which came out, I don't know if they came out last year or 2 years ago. I caught this when I was at my parents' house and we're finding something to watch. And they're like, I don't know, they found this was on something on TV, I guess a streaming channel. And so they're like, try this Age of Adeline, which I've heard about, never was interested in watching it. It was kind of this sci-fi romance drama, I guess you can call it, which, like, the premise is kind of interesting about this girl named Adeline who gets in a car wreck when she's young and gets hit by lightning, and somehow the getting hit by lightning makes her not age, and so she can live forever, basically, and she never gets older. And so then she's on the run because people are starting to ask, you're 50 years old, but you look like you're 25. Like, this doesn't make sense. So she's constantly having to change her identity, and she can never find love because she'd always have to explain to her boyfriend, how come I never get older? Anyway, so it kind of deals with kind of an interesting premise there, but I would say overall, like, it was too much of a girl movie for me. Like, it was definitely, very slow moving movie. And it deals with her, she had an old romance with Harrison Ford's character, and then she's dating like his son, which is this interesting dynamic there, I guess. But the whole romance side of it was boring to me. And so I was like, I think this is the movie girls would like a lot, but guys, I think, would be bored with, because I was bored with it. And maybe I'm wrong there, but it's like I was bored with it, but I'm pretty sure my mom really liked the movie. So it's a movie, I think, it's a mom movie. It's a movie I think moms would like, that kind of thing. And it's not a terrible movie by any means. It has some interesting aspect to it, and it has a happy ending to it. So, I mean, there's stuff there. It was kind of enjoyable, but there's times where I was just kind of not even paying attention to what was going on in the movie, because I was kind of just, my mind was just drifting off, and I was talking to my dad about something, I think. And so I missed part of the movie, whatever. So overall, I'd give like 2.5 out of 5 stars, like a light not recommend. Like, if you're a girl, I'd say watch it. You probably like it. And that's being sexist saying that, but seriously, I think if you like romance movies, you'd probably like the movie. If not, I'd say it's not one I could necessarily recommend. It's close, but not quite there. So, and I'll end it there. Went through quite a bit of movies there, but yeah, tell me if you've seen any of these movies again. Tell me what you think. You like them, you don't like them? I enjoy seeing the comments. A lot of you have been commenting on each movie and saying, oh, I like this one, I don't like this one. Great. Enjoy seeing that and getting to talk to you guys about it. So yeah, comment, And just thank you for watching the video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a good day.